Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 3 Martini Lunch. My name is Jay Izso, and oh, man, do we have a great show. I got to tell you, I'm surrounded by some of the country's brightest, influential minds and leaders across the greater USA. I am telling you, they are the Rockstar Connectors. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce to you, she is the lovely and talented lady, the charge of the Rockstar Connect. She's the lead singer, the lead guitar player, the drummer, the bass player. She's all of the above. Her name is Sarah Elliot.
Thank you. I feel like I should be, like, did you ever see the folks who can play like all of the instruments at once, where they're like tapping their foot and it's a tambourine and they're drumming and playing the guitar and all that? I saw one of those guys live once and it blew my mind. Like, I didn't believe that anybody could actually do that. And it's like incredible when you could actually see it going live in person. So I appreciate that compliment, because I don't know that I would ever be capable of doing that. But
you're capable, Sarah. You just haven't tried yet.
I can't really carry a tune in a bucket. So I had like my rhythm's totally off. So probably not musically couldn't do that. But in other ways, I can probably do like 8 things at once. So I appreciate
spinning plates.
Yes.
Yes. Spinning plates. So welcome, everybody. We have 2 things. So it's 2/2/2/2/2 Tuesday, right? So it's the 22nd of the second month in 2022 on a Tuesday. So I have a 2-part question for us today. And it's National Margarita Day, which I was just informed of. Woohoo! And I got informed of it after I poured a whiskey. So sorry, I have one person who's waiting for a link, who's telling me. One moment. Okay, so
Don't you love it? Don't you love it when people are interrupting your train of thought?
I do.
There goes one of those plates.
I want to get him in here because this is going to be a fun conversation.
Right.
Alan, could you ask Jackie to send Domenic the link, please? Thank you.
Dominic's waiting in the waiting room.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, there he is. Okay, wait. Never mind.
That's okay, Domenic. You're good, brother.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. No, I just wanted to be. I don't want you to miss out. So here we go. He's now a panelist. Yay. Okay, good. Yay. Hi, welcome.
Hello.
I wanted to make sure you were in here. Okay. Awesome. Okay, so here's my 2 for 2 for 2 question. What do you wish you had spent more time doing 5 years ago in preparation for today? And then what can you do today that you were not capable of 5 years ago? There's my 2-fer. So for me, 5 years ago, I wish that I had not spent so much time collecting things, and this is probably my whole life, but collecting skills and moments rather than things. But I am now much more capable of deciphering what's important about those things and holding on to those moments. So like moments with my children and moments with my husband and moments in my business, like those have a lot more impact on me moment to moment now than they did 5 years ago. And I think part of that is perspective over this crazy last 2 years we've endured, that those things are much more crucial to our existence than jewelry or the house we drive, the car we live in, right? That's what I was going to say. But back that up and reverse it. The car we drive or the house we live in. It's the moments, and these moments that I get to spend with you all and the connections that we make that are so much more important to me than all that other crap. But I've acquired things and now I have to dispense with that. Not to have to, but I probably should, because if I don't stop it now, it's going to continue accumulating. And then I'm going to be like 80 and be like, I don't know where the doors are or the windows are in this house. So it is helping. It is, right? I was saying I should probably take before we started broadcasting, I was saying I probably should take a sip of my whiskey so that I'm not tripping over my words. And it's trying to help. Right. So it is the 3 Martini. And it's National Margarita Day. National Margarita Day. So that means I'm just going to have some. Is it National Tequila Day too? Can we just like have good sipping tequila, or it has to be a margarita?
You have an artesian at your house, so there's no reason why you can't have a margarita. I mean, you should have it ready-made and everything like that. Plus, it's Tuesday. So, I mean, Margarita Day on a Taco Tuesday, I can't think of a better match.
Right? Oh, that's true. That's so true. Taco Tuesday, Tuesday. Oh, it's going to be a good day. I mean, it's already a pretty good day.
And it is. Well, and because it's 2/2/22, you have to have a question that's 2-part, right? Is that correct? Okay.
That's correct. So I'm gonna put it in my chat. I would love for Miss Lisa to take the lead on this one because I gave her a couple minutes in advance to think about it. So I'm gonna let you go first.
Well, thank you very much, Sarah. I did put a little thought into this about 5 years ago about what I wish I had spent more time doing 5 years ago. I wish I would have spent a lot less time spending so many hours of my day building my skills. So I want to talk about what that really means to me, is because I made the skills so important. I wasn't focused on the connection of myself and applying those skills to myself even. I put everybody else first and putting those skills out there so that I could help all the clients and everyone else, so much so that I drove myself into the ground, not once, but twice. How's that for a 2 Tuesday? And so now what I do is I reflect back on that. And the biggest thing that I have spent the last couple of years on with my clients on question is that I used to always say, you can only do it right, without really, really having a full-bodied experience of what that meant, meaning that you can't get it wrong, right and wrong right there. And now what I can do that I didn't do 5 years ago is I take my own class first. I put myself first, that there's a time for the skill set. And it's so funny because it isn't all the hours of the days anymore. And it's all those experiences like you were talking about. I like to collect things too. And that's an experience for me. On Saturdays, I'm out in there seeing what treasure I can find today and the people that I meet and everything else. And I take a lot more steps back. I used to run 5,000 miles an hour, which was why I knocked myself out twice. And taking that extra time for me, and then that building, because that momentum, it's in my business. Having that grace for myself that I give to clients, it didn't come easily to me. And I was so used to putting everyone else first. And it is true what they say about that oxygen mask. You put your own mask on first, because this train has a lot more power. She has a lot more momentum. And there's just a lot more everything because I made that switch.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's crucial to take time to focus on ourselves. And I think especially women have a tendency to just give, because it's in our nature. It's like, it's thousands of years of evolution has taught us to put our children first and our spouses first and our everything, everybody else, because it's been our role for thousands of years, right? And so to take some of that time for yourself is often liberating, but also a little scary.
It is. It's very scary.
Yeah. I can sympathize with that. And I think probably a lot of women, probably everybody can, right? Because now And I don't know if you've noticed this, but I think that we are at an evolutionary point in time where, because the roles have shifted so much from this very, I mean, the way that we had roles for a lot, I mean, not in patriarchal societies, right? We've always had this, like, males have one role, females have another role. And in the last 100 years or so, that sort of flipped on its head, where women are working and some men are staying home with the children, or the children are being handed off to somebody else. And then you get this, what then role do I take on? And it's an interesting definition of this new, I can take a moment for myself and grow my own center to be of more benefit to everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you. Very interesting. Thank you, Lisa. All right. So I would like to ask Joey. Joey, what do you wish you had spent more time doing 5 years ago? And conversely, what can you do today that you were not capable of doing 5 years ago?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was investing in the stock market. And then I thought, which I am doing now. And so I thought, well, what else would be more relevant and important? Because that's important as well. But I thought to myself, something one of my instructors told me is being versus doing concept. And so those of you familiar with this, it's very true in all of our clients, especially. I'm very new to entrepreneurship, especially. And I was just in a rush to get to I'm successful. I'm making X amount of dollars, X amount of clients. I have the lifestyle I want. And so in being in that rush, he essentially reminded me of who are you being when you're rushing around like that? And that's certainly true for me 5 years ago. I started heavily reading self-development 5 years ago. And so I was more focused on fixing myself versus looking at my strengths and my talents and being in those and focusing on those. So rather than running around to I'm screwed up, and so I need to work on that to then be a level of normalcy of whatever that means, to then be able to do my purpose, just focusing on what I really want, essentially. So to summarize, just being awesome as I already am versus doing things to make me awesome. And yeah, just go in the flow and then really focus on what I want to do. So, which leads to the second part of the question is, I'm doing that now. Essentially getting more clarity on that and what that looks like. And that's a daily challenge in all forms and ways. So having the time, having the money to invest in myself and my clients, focusing on more of my strengths versus my weaknesses, acknowledging them and seeing how I can turn the weaknesses into strengths. It's essentially what I've been doing now. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think so. With your first point where you were going to say, I wish I'd invested in the stock market. I know some brilliant individuals who have alternate ways of growing wealth that is not nearly as volatile as the stock market is. And I think that probably anybody who would be interested in hearing about those alternate methods should speak to Mark Sher or Domenic Battistella. These gentlemen really have their thumbs on something that a lot of people don't know about and it's just a different way of doing things. And I think that both of these individuals are brilliant in their own ways and have just a fabulous way of looking at the world. And I think that a lot of us would wish that, a couple of years ago, we had put more of thought into our future finances and our future stability and our future assurance that our families are going to be taken care of. And these guys, both in their own, and they do things a little bit differently, but I think it's a lot of the same way too. And they know each a lot more about it than I do, but brilliant minds who are definitely worth having a conversation about future assurance of not only just financial stability, really.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So speaking of Mark, Sher, what, correct me if I've said anything incorrect there, but I hold you in high regard. So I think that you're just a brilliant guy and have a lot to give lots of other folks as far as information and knowledge and wisdom. So if I've said anything incorrectly, feel free to correct me there. But I would love for you to answer too. What do you wish you had spent more time doing 5 years ago? And then what are you capable of doing now that you weren't 5 years ago?
Well, thanks for having me back again. I feel almost like Paul Lynn in the Hollywood Squares. And those of you who don't know who that is, well, go find out. Anyway, so 5 years ago, I was spending a lot more time on myself in the sense that I'm very good at what I do, and I just tried to make myself better and better and better and better and better. And, you know, just get all the accolades from all the different companies, win all the awards, blah, 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 blah. And I also was trying to acquire a lot of things. And so it's going to be a two-part answer. I learned something very valuable about 3.5, 4 years ago. Really, really, really wealthy people, they don't care about owning the house. They don't care about owning the boat. They don't care about owning the car. They just want to be able to have access and use them during their lifetime. And it's a really important concept that you really have to think about that most people don't ever get, which is why they never become super wealthy. But that being the case, going back to the first part of the answer is that when I realized that I was kind of being selfish in the sense that I didn't want to share my knowledge with people who were, I looked at them as my competitors. So what I did was that I said, you know what? Once you start reaching out to people and having them become a member of the team and teach them what you know, so you're going to get some crumbs. You're not going to get it all, but you're going to get the crumbs. And by geometric progression, you know, would you rather have 100% of your efforts or 1% of 100 people's? And I learned that. And that really lets me free up now to have more time to help other people. But by helping other people, I freed up my own time because I can travel, do whatever I want to do. And let's just say I've got, you know, other people who I've taught that I'm getting some crumbs from. Well, guess what? I don't have to be stressing out every day because I've got other people stressing out every day. So that's my answer.
Thank you. Thank you. That is, I think that's brilliant. And I think that's, so dividing the effort and putting the trust in the people that you've trained, that they're going to put the effort in because they need to eat too. And it comes back to you because you've given them a lifeblood, that there are a means of making ends meet that they didn't have before. And thus you are rewarded for it, right?
You know, a lot of the people, they had to end, you know, they can make ends meet, but I was able to teach them how to really become superstars and just make their lives that much better. And it's kind of like the trickle down theory, because if I do that to somebody else, then they're going to do that to somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. And that's what makes teams grow really big.
Right. Awesome.
There you go.
So, brilliant mind. Have a conversation with him about all of those things. And Mark is located, and I hadn't disclosed this, so I hadn't asked or told everybody this, but Lisa's in North Carolina. And before I forget and go back, Mark is in Florida. Joey's in North Carolina. Lisa is a coach. And remind me again the specific kind of coach, Lisa.
I really focus on body confidence and kick-ass living. that is where, by getting rid of all the crap in your life that's not working and celebrating everything that is and owning it.
Right. Okay. See, I always want to say that, but I feel like you say it much better than I do.
You're great.
Because I want to say like business coach. It's not business coach, it's lifestyle. And it is almost like personality tailoring.
Exactly. Putting your personality out there, large and in charge.
Yeah. Awesome. And then Joey, also a coach, but a coach for nerds, which I love that. And that's what you told me when we first met.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Holistic confidence coach for nerds. I help nerds with their interpersonal relationships, professional and romantic, and with themselves to level up their communication skills. How you talk to yourself is how you talk to others.
It is. So one of the questions I was going to ask today that I had thought about, speaking of that, and then I would love to have Mark tell us exactly what he does too, because he says it better than me too. But one of the quotes that I was going to ask is, how long would you stay friends with somebody who talks to you the same way you talk to yourself sometimes? But all of us would say, I wouldn't be friends with that person, because the negative voice in our heads, at least in my head, when I do something silly like stub my toe or forget to start the dishwasher or whatever, it's like, oh, you dummy. But I'm really trying not to do that. There are worse words that go on in my head, but I don't want to curse too much. But certainly, like, I wouldn't stay friends with that person. It was always like, wow, you jackass. Like, and then I went, so I'm going to come back because, but Domenic, who I had previously mentioned, who is in also a field that helps people build themselves and their families for this generation and the next. Correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay,
yes.
Good.
So we can talk about that, Sarah. I was just going to mention, like, one of the things that, I feel like is really good about giving introductions to people is, and this might be good advice for anybody when you're trying to connect people, is I don't try and give somebody else's elevator pitch for them. What I do is I talk about their character, right? I love Sarah. She's a great friend. She is a high character individual, and she'll give you the shirt off her back. I don't care what it is that she does. Whatever she does, I'm buying it because Sarah is an incredible person. And that's how I always give the introduction. I may say something about field. They may be in finance, they may be in real estate, but you want to talk to them because they're incredible people, and just being able to meet them is going to be of value. And then you let the person who that's fantastic sell themselves, because nobody's going to be able to do it better. Makes sense?
That's true. That's true. All right, I'm going to change my perspective. I was just trying. My intent is to always give I know you, and I'm going to give you the best introduction possible. But then I doubt myself, and you say it better about you than I would say it better about you. You're absolutely right about that. So,
just talk about their character, because that's what comes from the heart. Because that's what you know about people.
That's true.
Is who they are as people, and that's the real connection.
That is very true. Okay, well, let me introduce you to my friend Domenic, who is an absolutely lovely person. He is a generous host. He is a fabulous chef, and he goes out of his way to make other people's days amazing. Every time I meet him, he makes my day better. Every time we're in person, he makes my day better. So
awesome.
What?
That's a great introduction. That's fantastic. I can run with that.
That's better. I like it. You're right. I like it better.
Awesome. Well, let me answer the question, because it's a two-part, right? So what do you wish you did 5
Tuesday?
years?
My 2 Tuesday.
Yeah. What do you wish you had spent more time on 5 years ago to prepare for today? And what are you going to do now to prepare for 5 years from now? Is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
Right. No, what are you capable of doing now that you were not capable of doing 5 years ago? What do you wish you had done then? And what can you do now that you couldn't do that?
Yeah, that's really, yeah. Okay. That's a bit of a different question. So 5 years ago, as opposed to today, I was starting really my second career. So I was transitioning out of being a chef, but maybe a little bit longer than that, and into my current career. And what I found was when I was starting my new career that I took things really personally, right? I was learning all this awesome stuff and it was incredible. And I was sold on what it was that I was doing. And I just couldn't understand why the people that I was talking to, they didn't get it, right? They should be working with me because what I'm doing is so incredibly important. It just makes absolutely all the sense in the world when you look at it from both an emotional perspective and from a bottom line perspective. And people would just look at it and look the facts right in the face and just be like, nah, no, I don't want to do that. And
is it like I'm never going to die? I'm going to live forever. I'm going to outlive my children. And then I don't need anything to assure that they're better off than I am. Like,
well, I don't know what's in their thought process, right? You at that point, you're grasping at it. And sometimes you start thinking, was it me? Was was it that they're rejecting me, not just that they're rejecting the concept or the idea or anything else? So you start really, when you're doing something like this for the first time, and it was the first time I was in a career where people would tell me no, right? I was always in a career where I would tell people yes, right? As a chef, that was my job. What do you need? Yes, 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 yes. I'm going to give that to you. I don't care what it is. I'm going to figure out how to make it work. And hearing people say no was just like so different. And I took it very, very personally. So I wish I didn't do that. Now I don't. Now it's just, water off a duck's back, but I didn't understand that initially. And that made that hit me in the ego early on. Yeah. And now it's just kind of like, all right, it's numbers. It's next. Some will, some won't. So what? Got to move on, right? Because you're going to find the people that are your clients when you work in business, and you just have to understand some people aren't for everybody, right?
Right.
Now, what I think that I am more able to do now than I was 5 years ago is I've learned how to say no. Like the opposite direction, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not taking things personally. Now I'm learning how to say no to things that are unreasonable or things that are asking for my time and for my attention, but don't benefit me, don't benefit my family, don't benefit my business. If they don't benefit me in one of those ways that are crucial to my life and my values, then I don't mess with it. I had to stop being that people pleaser, that chef that I'm going to yes, whatever it is that you say, I'm going to run out and do it, because it was driving me crazy. And even when I would do everything that somebody asked me to, I would still hear no at the other end of it. Now I'm just going, you know what? Here's what I do. Here's how I work. This is my process. These are the objectives, and we're going to talk about the objectives, but these are the things that I help people do. And if it's not along the lines of what I do, then we just can't work together. Right. I'm not going to lower what it is that I am and that what I do just to meet somebody else's expectations. I've set my expectations for myself, and now I've learned to say no to people who don't fit what it is that I do. There's plenty of other people out there that will fit in working with me. I don't need to change what I'm doing to just because I'm I need to work with somebody else. No, that's not worth my time. I can spend that time finding the right person, or I can spend that time with my family. I can spend that time cooking a great meal. I can spend that time having a beverage with Sarah and Steven. I can spend that time on 3 martini. Those are all more beneficial things than running after somebody who's going to frustrate the hell out of me. Sorry, no. So that's what I can do now that 5 years ago, I wasn't necessarily able to do.
Now, was it more of a trial by fire, or did you set out to say, like, what is the issue here and how can I fix it? Or did the lessons have to beat you up to the point where you go, okay, well, I'm not like that anymore? Like, did you at one point look back and go, oh, well, that was dumb?
I'm definitely the type of person that has to run headfirst into the brick wall 500 or 600 times before I realize that that's probably not working, and I need to make a modification of how I do that. But that's just me, because I'm a very determined person. I'm always like, all right, there's an obstacle in front of me. How do I get through it? Right? As opposed to, is that even worth my time? Is the other side of that wall where I need to be? Or do I need to look to the left and see that there's just a whole field of direction I can go that way? Right? So I think that's probably something I need to learn how to do sooner, but it's just my personality to be a driver and be very determined. When I've set my mind to doing something, I'm going to do that. Right. So maybe I have to be more balanced with my persistency.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Joey says, I'm too hard-headed. My father always said I like to learn the hard way. I learned the hard way too.
Of course.
I do. Although not as hard as some others. Like, I have seen some people who take the hard way and still refuse to learn. And then it just keeps getting harder.
That's true.
And I think it takes a certain amount of humility to be beat up and then take that lesson and go, oh, there's probably a better way that's not the hard way.
For sure. Absolutely.
But I think you have to like step back and go, oh, maybe I was not right there. Which is, I think, harder than the hard way sometimes. Because you have to take a look at yourself and go, oh.
Yeah, you have to be willing to admit that you were wrong about something. Right. You want to talk about another hit to the ego, Joey? Being able to admit that you're wrong.
Yeah.
But when it's something that you have a very strong desire to do, and you have goals set out, right? I'm not talking about like the normal. You're arguing with somebody and you can't admit you're wrong. You're talking about having to admit that you're wrong to yourself.
Right.
About something that's kind of super important to you.
If you admit you're wrong to yourself, that's the day you put on your big boy and big girl pants.
Sure.
And I think too, that day is the day you get a little closer to God too, because it's realizing that you are not correct in everything and taking your humility, bringing your humility to the surface, I think, too, allows for a guiding light to be placed into your life, whichever way that goes, just that like, oh, I was wrong, puts you in sort of a place to be taught by life and the universe and everything. And the number 42 or 22 as today is.
Oh, 22. I don't know what the 42 is. Maybe I missed that.
It's the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Oh, it's 42.
Right.
Okay. I'll have to look that up.
You need to read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Douglas Adams. Yes.
Okay. I did not know that.
I knew your reference, Sarah.
And always read all 4 books of the trilogy.
Yeah. Or just watch the super fun movie with Mos Def, and who doesn't go by Mos Def in the movie. He goes by his other stage name.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not coming to my brain right now. And the cute little girl with the bangs, Zooey Deschanel, and Yeah, Say Fod Beeble Rocks, who I can't remember plays that role. It's a great movie.
That's one I missed out on reading in high school.
You should definitely read it or watch the movie, or
never too late.
Yeah,
I mean, it's sci-fi culture that's like ridiculous. So
love it.
I was much more on the Dune Chronicles, I think.
See, I started reading those and I couldn't jump into it like I wanted to. It was hard. It was hard to get like started going into it, like, because it doesn't immediately grab. It sort of drags initially because it's a lot of scene building, and I was like,
That's fair.
Here it's like Game of Thrones. It's a lot of characters.
I haven't read that either. Watched the movies or this show, the series. Haven't read it. Here it's good. I was a big fan of Ursula K. Le Guin though when I was reading all that kind of stuff. So Wizard of Earthsea and which is, I don't think that almost anybody's read that. She was a gem. Like she was she's a beautiful writer, and she passed away a couple years ago. And it was just it was a sad day for me and like 5 other people who had actually read her work.
Fair point.
Here in the States, I think she's much more internationally well known. But I used to read everything of hers I could get my hands on. So moving on, because I don't want us to run out of time, when I want everybody to have a chance to answer these awesome questions that the Hive Mind gave me today. Mr. Fuentes.
Good day to you.
Good day. Good to Margarita Day.
Well, I've only had one, so but the day's young.
Well, you'll have at least 2 by the end of the day.
Yeah. I actually did a video a few years ago, just before COVID kicked off, about Margarita Day, and went to a couple of different restaurants that had bars in them that are known here in the Sacramento, California area. And before I went, I actually met with the managers to say, hey, can I do this? And I videoed a interview with the managers and their bartender. So yeah, that was pretty interesting.
Cool.
So 5 years ago.
Always on 2/22, or is it all on?
Just like Christmas.
Okay. Now I know going forward to celebrate Margarita Day on February 22nd.
It's in my calendar.
And now all of you know too, out there in media.
Rockstar land.
Rockstar land, yes.
Yeah.
That Margarita Day is on 2/22. The more you know. So Ray, what do you wish you had spent more time doing 5 years ago? And then what can you do now that you were not capable of doing 5 years ago?
So I thought about this because I obviously wasn't first. I've had a chance to think about it. To love better. I mean, it's easier to love our, significant other, maybe our family, but I think I can't speak for everybody, but I know that I was always a little harder on my family than I was with, say, for example, clients. I was less forgiving. But I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about the guy that cut me off. Well,
right.
And
you stupid jerk, get a life. Your mother sucks.
and I think
so
that
wild.
and I think that gives me an opportunity. It would have given me. I mean, I have improved, but gives me an opportunity to better serve others, because I think that's my gift, is not necessarily helping someone, but there's a little bit of a difference, I think, in serving. But I think I would have liked to have learned to love better earlier in my life. So yeah.
Loving better. Do you love the better now than you did 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. And it's not that I loved people less. I think I just didn't show it.
Right. Okay.
Right. So we were talking about ourselves, self-improvement, and the things we say about ourselves. And, would you let your friend talk about you that way? Well, one of the things that I do now that I didn't do 5 years ago is that aspect of me that is an idiot, says terrible things, has a name, and it's not me. It's not my name. It's not the person I want to be. So whenever I catch myself saying or doing something, I just tell Richard to shut up. So, shut up, Richard. That's his name. Don't ask me why.
Do you ever shorten it?
Nope.
Hey,
I do not. Because that kind of defeats the purpose, I think.
Yeah, it probably does.
Yeah.
Richard. Ooh, I like it. I would have to give maybe. So did you pick a name for that inner other voice of a name that you don't like, or a name that you feel ambivalent about, or a name that you like? If you had a son, would you have named them Richard?
Probably not. Not that there's anything wrong with the name Richard. I just don't think I would have.
Because there are some names like that affront your ears, when you hear them, and often they're like, I mean, sometimes their name is in other languages, but I was doing some family tree research recently, and then I'm going to get right back to this because I don't want to run out of time, but I was doing some family tree research, and I have some really weird names in my family tree. And some that are just like, what? So Greenberry is my great grandfather's first name. Greenberry.
First name.
First name, Greenberry. One word, Greenberry. So I think I would probably pick a name like that for that alter ego. Maybe not Greenberry, because I didn't know the guy.
It's long.
But something like that, that's like, that would never be anybody else's name now. Like you would never meet a Greenberry now.
Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely unusual.
Or something, some old antique name that like nobody uses now. Maybe. I don't know.
I was going to say, I can't think of anything that I do now that, something new, except I blame everything on Richard.
I think that's
all the negative stuff is Richard's fault.
I think that's a good skill.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think it's interesting, especially over the last few years. We talk about there's a lot of hate going on in the world, and not all of it is blatant or obvious. Some of it, there's a term called microaggressions. If you haven't heard that one, that's kind of weird. But people say and do things, and I'm not talking about people that say something unwittingly, right? I mean, because that's just ignorance. They say ignorance is bliss. That's just ignorance. They just don't know. But but I'm talking about people that slight others on purpose. So yeah. And I used to be more of that guy. I used to be more of that Richard personality, but that was a long time ago.
Thank goodness.
I know, right? I'd never be able to network like. It's funny because I tell people, I used to do this or do that. They go, can't even imagine.
Yeah, I can't imagine it really from you.
No.
Well, since I've known you, you've been absolutely wonderful to have a conversation with. A joy to have a video communication with, and we've done that, quite a few times, you and I. And absolutely cordial in emails, and I mean, perhaps I've just never crossed you the wrong way, but I've never known that side of you. So
yeah. So a funny story for me, you might not find it amusing, but a funny story for me is I used to ride a Harley Davidson. I was married, I got divorced, my wife moved to a different house, and she had some friends, and I was still kind of friends with her friends. And I rode up to her house one day to drop off a piece of paper or something. I don't know what it was. And I'm on my Harley Davidson. I got my helmet on, my goatee, dark glasses. Yeah, you probably wouldn't recognize me. Big jacket. And this really nice gal that I know that, friend of my ex's, really nice gal is in the front yard, and she sees me drive up, ride up, and I park my bike, and she's talking to my sister-in-law. And I get off the bike, take off my helmet, and I wave, "Hi, Glenna, how you doing?" And I go in and do whatever I was doing, and I leave. And later on, I got a call from my sister-in-law, Nicole, and we were talking. She goes, "Oh, yeah, when you rode up, Glenna said, 'Who's that hot guy pulling up?'" Right? Completely different personality, just an appearance, right? Just a different appearance. I don't think she ever would have said that about me previously. So that was my alter ego for a long time, was the guy on the bike. I don't have the bike anymore. So, and I'm trying to get rid of part of my alter ego, not necessarily the rider, but yeah. And so he's now named.
Good.
Yeah.
Put a name to it.
It's interesting.
I love that. I think that's a fabulous strategy.
I do want to point out that I'm not talking about, I said I blame Richard for everything. I'm not talking about not taking responsibility for my actions or whatever. That's not what I mean. I simply mean, and it's usually to myself. I don't say it when other people are around, but it's.
I didn't do that. Richard did that.
Yeah. Well, usually I just say, "Shut up, Richard," because it's a thought that's going in my head.
Right.
And I say it out loud. "Shut up, Richard." So in my car, sometimes on video.
I like that tactic. I think I'm going to have to employ it. I like it.
You can call him Richard if you want.
I might call him Richard.
Yeah. I think, unless there's somebody here named Richard, I don't think there is, right? Okay, good. Yeah, I think we should all blame that guy
Right.
for the dumb things that we do.
Yeah.
I mean,
and the dumb things we say to ourselves, which I
exactly. That's most of what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have a name for the gal that wants to talk to the manager, Karen, right?
Right.
So, why not have a name for that inner voice that's dragging us down in ways we don't even know? I mean, once you start studying it, once you start studying the positive speak and all that, yeah. I mean, it doesn't always work. I mean, it's not completely 100% correct, but it certainly helps.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine so. I love that. I'm employing that strategy from now on. Thank you, Ray. That's awesome.
Thank you. Happy Margarita Day.
Happy Margarita Day. Speaking of Happy Margarita Day, Adam, are you having a margarita over there? I see something.
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy Tuesday Margarita Day, 2/22 Tuesday.
All twos are out. It's Tuesday.
Love it.
222. I'm introducing my Take Two program today. So it's really been quite the day. So I'm really glad to pop on. To hear you guys talk in the same way that I live my life, to name that inner person inside of you, to live life to its fullest, is really an amazing part of the journey that we're all on. 5 years ago, I sent my kid to college, divorced my wife, quit my job, and grabbed a condo on the beach. And I lived on the beach, and I really focused on personal satisfaction, gratification, and enjoyment of the physical pleasures of life. And it was a really good 3 years. May go back there again sometime, but that was really what I needed to do to recreate myself.
Mm-hmm.
I started with what Ray was talking about, going inside and naming that entity that talks to me in a certain way. And then I realized, how would I prefer to talk to myself? Well, what if I was deliberately creating that voice inside? How would I create it? And then, life changed immediately. And to, answer your question and stay on track with that, one of the things that I did, or one of the thing that I learned the most since then is PAT: patience, acceptance, and tolerance. When you live on the beach and you don't have a job that you work for somebody else, and you don't need patience, you don't really need acceptance or tolerance. It's just things go your way all the time. And I really kind of took back from society, and I jump on an airplane and fly to a meeting or a weekend conference anywhere. COVID changed my life dramatically. Really super glad to be a part of this group, and the 3 Martini which I took literally at the beginning. But 3 martinis in a 2-hour phone call didn't work out well.
Yeah. By the end, you're just going blah, blah, blah.
But one margarita, that's good for this. And then we'll shift into happy hour from here. But to the thing I didn't have 5 years ago is what so many people said on this call, which is love for myself. You know, that level of self-love, which I'm just learning to experience. I get to be a dad all over again. You know, I have 2 kids who are under 10 years old right now, and I get to see them in a way I never got to see my other daughter, because I was the dad. I was focused. I was inexperienced. You know, what I'd say to her is, look, I don't know if I'm going to get this right. I've never been the father of a 9-year-old before, but let's go for it. But now I have that experience, but to be able to see it and receive it in such a different way. When you have an identity that you love yourself, then you see the whole world through that identity. Well, you see the whole world through an identity if you don't love yourself either. Right. But yes, so I know that the lens I wear is my self-image, my identity. But I also now know that I can create that. And that's brought me incredible amounts of joy, even when things aren't going the way I want them to.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So what I'm hearing from everybody, and I would love, Jay, for you to answer a question and wrap us up. But what I think I'm hearing is we've come a long way in 5 years, guys. Like, this has been, even given all of the crap that's happened in the last 2, because it's been not fun for anybody, but the last 5 have been years of large personal growth and self-love and self-forgiveness, which has then also led to more huge personal growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh, I love that.
Yeah. I know for me, it's 5 years ago was about stop looking. I wish I would have stopped looking at the results and focused on the process. Mm-hmm. Because you got to trust the process, because you're not always going to see the results.
Right.
I think so. I think if you ask Mark, or you ask Domenic or Adam, or probably anybody on here, but especially Mark and Domenic, you know, when it comes to financial security and those type of things, right? I mean, the fact of the matter is, I got to trust that process, because there's no guarantee of what the results are going to actually go. We don't know what the market's going to do, but you got to trust the process over time. That over the course of time, the investments that you guys or people like you that I have that make suggestions to me, they work. I trust the process, right? If they're, you know, I mean, listen, I remember investing, you know, having our, you know, our Roths or Roths and everything else that we have, you know, whatever we ever had, you know, all the stuff that we have invested in our retirement funds that we fund fully every year. You know what? One year, 2001 came, and September 11th came, and guess what happened after September 11th to your portfolio? It took a hit. Yeah. But you know what? You don't get out because you take a hit. You trust the process, right? And it came back. It was great. I mean, so, but I wish I'd have learned that 5 years ago, because I now understand that trusting the process, results are just not as important. Immediate results, at least, are not as important. If I focus on what I need to do every day excellently today, the results will take care of themselves. Wish I would have known that.
That's a good point. You know what? I'm going to have to write that down and imbibe it, because I have a really hard time with that. Thank you.
Yeah. So I had this conversation with my coach today. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm a coach. People are wondering, I'm a success coach. Matter of fact, I have my 3 words.
Yes.
My business are this: positively inspiring resilience. That's what I do. You want to know what I am as a coach? I positively inspire resilience. That's what I do. Domenic, you gave me something I thought about. I don't know if everybody could see that. Everybody can see that, right? You know what that is?
A Q-tip. Cotton swab.
Q-tip, right? You know what it stands for? Quit taking it personally.
I love that.
Quit taking it personally. I usually carry one of these around in my pocket. Seems like whenever I go to a restaurant, there's always some server who said, "Oh, this lady over there has just done this," and I try to encourage the waitstaff person. I hand her or him a Q-tip, and I said, "Listen, you know what this means? Quit taking it personally, because I can tell you something that's going to mess up your day. But if you quit taking it personally, you know what? You just recognize that they're another human being on their way.
Right.
That's just trying to figure it out, just like you and me are. They're just being human, right?"
That's so brilliant.
Q-tip.
That's really inspirational, because it is hard to not take other people. I mean, human interactions are like the lifeblood of most people's days and lives. And like, I mean, who are you if you're not interacting with other people? And so for another person to react negatively to you and to not take it personally is a huge skill. I mean, that is really hard to do. That's
why the Q-tips are on my desk, right? I like to hand you one, right? Quit taking it personally. Right? That's
Quit taking it personally. I
I
love
think
it.
Mark Sher, isn't it something that his name is Sher?
Yes. And he's such a good sharer.
And you know what his great word was? Sharing. Yeah. He learned to share. Right? Yeah. How fitting is that he risked sharing? That was pretty cool to me. Right? That's the risk that he took, right?
Absolutely.
I found that to be awesome. Lisa learned to put her mask on first. Right? We all could, I mean, there's a reason why they say on an airplane, right? If we lose cabin air pressure, put on your mask first and then put on the person next to you. Why? Because if you don't put on your mask first, you're dead and you can't help anybody. So you have to put on your mask first. Right? It's a pretty good lesson, right? Sarah said, collect the moments instead of collecting things. We get so caught up in stuff, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Joey said, I got to learn to stop doing and just be. Well, we could get caught up into that too. That's part of that process thing, right? I have process versus results. We get so caught up into the results. We forget to be who we are. We forget to be that we're created and made in a way with natural gifts and talents and abilities. And we forget to be that person because we're so interested in a result. We try to be something else that doesn't fit well within ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking about Ray, right? And, loving better starts with loving ourselves. If you can't love yourself, you're not going to love anybody. If you can't look at yourself in the mirror and say, I love you for who you are and what you are. And you can't look at that person every day and say, I love who you are. And I love where we're going. And I love that we're making changes every day. And I am grateful for everything that I am and everything that I will be. That's the only way you're going to start loving others. Because it doesn't happen if we don't start there. And that, when I start putting this thing all together, right? I think we're all in that thing of, I got to trust the process because the result isn't here yet. I got to trust the process and know in my heart of hearts, in every word that I speak to myself, that even though I can't see that light, I know it exists. And sometimes I've heard people say hope is not a strategy, and maybe it's not. But I absolutely guarantee you that if you anchor yourself to hope, there's always a possibility. And as long as we have possibilities, we have a future. And as long as that we believe that we have a future, anything is possible. And that's what I would say, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have one thing, Sarah.
Please.
And this is for you, Jay. And not for you, but for millions of people like you. Made a very interesting comment. When people went through the situation that you went through, that you trusted the process in 07, 08, imagine you were 65, 66, 67 years old living on a fixed income.
Yeah.
You couldn't trust the process because your whole life just changed.
Right.
Right? So that's just an important thing. and it's a little bit of salesy, but so the mindset is that, and you've heard me be passionate and talk about this many times, is that like many other people, you've fallen for what they want you to believe. People like Domenic and myself, we're not so much financial people, but we're more financial mavericks, because our clients, they didn't go through that up or down. That didn't affect them at all. And the other difference is our clients, when they access their money, a Roth, which we know is not taxable, but I'm pretty sure that you and your wife grew out of being able to contribute to a Roth because you make too much money, right?
Yep.
So when you take the money from the other types of qualified plans, you're going to pay a boatload of taxes. And the big winner is the government.
Oh, it always is. Yeah,
so I'm just letting you know that it's important to really investigate what's out there, because it'll change your life, and then you'll be your question will be, gee, what do I wish I knew 5 years ago? And I wish I talked to Domenic or Mark 5 years ago.
Listen, I will
facts, Mark.
I will tell everybody right now, if you do not have an estate plan, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You better have an estate plan, and you better find a really good estate attorney. Do not count on a will to save your tail. That's not going to happen. And you know what, Mark, the thing that my wife and I have done is we've probably changed advisors since we've been married. I bet 5 times until we found something that we go, okay, now we've got it.
Right.
Yeah. But I will tell people right now, get an estate plan. Get an estate planning attorney. There's a lot of great ones out there. Matter of fact, I guarantee you that both Mark and Domenic know some excellent estate planning attorneys in your area. Have them recommend them to you, because there are some really good ones. And I will tell you, you're going to save yourself a lot of future in estate planning.
But the problem with even doing that, Jay, is this. I'm working on a case right now, and it's a lawyer that's in New York who works with a firm in Washington, D.C., who they're fixing a problem out in California, and they're estate planning attorneys. And we said, well, gee, that's a really big problem. They go, you're right, because the attorneys who did it, it's a $500 million trust with over a $200 million tax exposure now. Right. And they didn't know how to fix it. And someone like me, who's not a lawyer, showed them how to fix it, and they go, wow.
That's right. Why you have to have that's why you have to have your financial people with your attorneys, estate attorneys doing it. Because you've got to make sure that your finances are covered, and that you're taking advantages of everything that you can take advantage in the process.
Exactly.
Because if you're not,
very important.
Yeah, it's extremely important. It can't be just the attorney. I don't want it to sound like that, but you have to have really good financial people involved with that, so that you are taking advantage of every possible option that you have, because there are options out there that people are completely unaware of. That's and they don't want to spend the money. They don't want to spend that money, but they don't understand how much money they're going to save themselves in taxes down the road.
Yep.
And their children.
Yeah. And their children.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And their children. Listen, we got 2 kids, and I'm sure I'm going to have grandkids down the road. And so, I want to protect them as well. Right. That's the whole point of doing all this, right? We want to make sure that they do that. So, yeah, Sarah. So, what was the thing I'm doing now that I didn't do 5 years ago? I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. I'm doing a podcast that I love. I didn't know that I had this. I didn't know I had this in me. I had no idea, and I love it. So, yeah.
Well, now I if upon meeting you, I would be able to probably tell you that you had it in you. But now you've told me I might have it in me too. And this has got my wheels turning. I'm gonna have to put my thoughts together and see what I can spit into a camera, because I'm a little encouraged here, Jay.
Yeah. Was Tim Fincham your grandfather?
No, my grandfather is Dean Beeman.
Oh, it's Dean Beeman. Oh, okay.
But Tim Fincham was always around when I was a kid. I mean,
right. Yeah, because he took over for your grandfather, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, he took over for the PGA commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you have any Hindu people in your family, Sarah?
No, I don't.
I Googled the name Greenberry a few minutes ago.
Uh-huh.
It's typically a name for people who are Hindu.
Interesting. No, his name is Greenberry Saum, Saum.
Just letting you know. That's what it said on Google. Whether they're right or wrong,
Interesting. No, I had no idea.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those weird, like, way back names. I don't know. Yeah, my heritage is English, German, Dutch, and some American mix that I can't figure out. I mean, my family's been here for a really long time on both sides. So, yeah.
For you. That's awesome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I think this was a really fabulous conversation. I appreciate everybody answering 2 questions and our 2 for Margarita Tuesday. And I, happen to have the most appropriate shirt on today. Go figure. For Margarita Day, which I didn't even know.
Horrible shirt. Take it off.
Not on camera, probably.
This is not the best idea, no. Maybe not the best idea to say that.
That was
interesting
Richard,
that you said probably.
Richard speaking.
Was that Richard speaking? Was that Richard speaking?
Dang it, Richard. I love that. Okay. Happy Tuesday. Happy Margarita Day. Happy week. Happy February. Happy 2022. And we will speak again next week. This is going to be a fabulous ongoing conversation, as it has been for the last 2 years. Can you even believe that? We've been doing this 2 years now. And I am continually impressed by each one of you who shows up with a wonderful attitude and awesome things to say. So thank you for contributing. I love you all. And I'm looking forward to having this conversation again next week.
Thanks, Sarah. See you next week.